Everything just exploded in Westminster. No one saw this coming. Just moments ago, a quiet but earth-shaking shift in power unfolded, and Keir Starmer's control over British politics cracked wide open. King Charles, breaking decades of royal tradition, directly handed access, and with it real influence, to Nigel Farage. This isn't a handshake or a fleeting nod. It's a seismic shift that's sending shockwaves through every corner of the establishment. And as the public absorbs this bombshell, Starmer has been caught on live television utterly losing his cool. The King's move could change the game forever, and for Starmer it might be the beginning of the end. The political landscape in Britain just turned upside down, and it happened behind closed doors at Buckingham Palace. King Charles, known for his reserved approach to politics, took a bold, calculated risk. He invited Nigel Farage for a private meeting, signalling a shift no one dared predict. Farage, once dismissed as a political outlier, now stands at the gates of real power. This meeting was not just symbolic. It was a strategic power move that exposed just how fragile Keir Starmer's grip on leadership really is. In recent weeks, Starmer had been struggling. His party's confidence was shaken by crushing local election defeats. Reform UK, the party led by Farage, was making historic gains in traditional Labour strongholds, shaking the very foundation of the opposition. But nothing compared to the quiet storm brewing inside the palace walls. The king, traditionally neutral and removed from political battles, chose to break his silence and engage with Farage in a way that sent a clear message. Farage's ideas and influence now matter. Royal insiders leaked that the conversation covered critical topics: national sovereignty, energy policies and border security, all issues where Farage's stance resonates deeply with a large part of the British public. This wasn't a casual chat. It was a royal endorsement by implication, a signal that power and influence are shifting behind the scenes. And while mainstream media tiptoes around this unprecedented meeting, the political fallout is already raging. For Starmer, the news hit like a bombshell. Instead of commanding confidence, he appeared rattled and defensive. Reports from inside Labour's headquarters describe a leader on edge, struggling to contain panic. The normally composed Starmer has been pacing, shouting, and demanding immediate damage control plans that simply don't exist. His leadership, once seen as the safe and stable alternative to Tory chaos, now looks weak and unravelling. Starmer's public reaction has been just as telling. During a live interview meant to reassure supporters, he stumbled over his words when pressed on Farage's growing clout. His attempts to dismiss the King's meeting as media speculation came off as forced and shaky. The public saw through it immediately, a leader losing control, desperate to hold on as the political tide turns. What makes this moment even more powerful is the symbolism. The British monarchy may not wield direct political authority, but its influence over public perception is immense. By opening the doors to Farage, King Charles is effectively elevating him from political outsider to someone with royal access, a move that challenges the established order and reshapes public trust. For Farage, this meeting is the validation he's long sought. The establishment is paying attention and, more importantly, listening. Inside Labour, the mood is grim. Starmer's campaign was built on being the responsible, moderate alternative, someone who could unite the party and the country. But his failure to connect with voters, combined with this shocking royal endorsement of his rival, is tearing that narrative apart. Party insiders admit that Farage's rise is no longer just a protest vote, it's a revolution gathering unstoppable momentum. This is more than just a political story. It's a drama unfolding in real time, where power is shifting in ways few expected. Starmer's hold on leadership is slipping fast, and with King Charles now playing an unexpected role, the stakes have never been higher. The aftermath of King Charles's unprecedented meeting with Nigel Farage has sent shockwaves throughout the British political establishment, igniting a frenzy of speculation and alarm that few predicted could come from such a quiet palace announcement. The sheer boldness of the King's move has fractured long-standing political norms, disrupting the carefully maintained balance between monarchy and government that has existed for centuries. Traditionally, the monarch maintains a strictly neutral stance in political matters, acting as a symbolic figurehead rather than an active participant in the nation's political battles. Yet, King Charles's direct engagement with Farage marks a tectonic shift that signals something far deeper than a simple meeting. It represents a shift in royal influence that could recalibrate the entire political landscape. Farage, who has long been a polarizing figure, often derided as a populist outsider, has now been elevated into a realm traditionally reserved for the country's political elites. This royal endorsement, whether implicit or explicit, provides him with a level of legitimacy that could transform his movement from fringe to formidable. Political analysts across the board are scrambling to understand the ramifications. With public trust in mainstream parties eroding, the King's alignment with Farage's vision of Britain as a sovereign, independent nation appeals to a broad and growing swath of the population. Issues such as Brexit, immigration control, and national sovereignty, which Farage champions relentlessly, now appear to be receiving quiet royal sanction. This has created a potent political cocktail that threatens to overwhelm Labour under Starmer's faltering leadership. Labour's internal crisis deepens as the party grapples with how to respond to this sudden power shift. Starmer's leadership was already under strain, facing criticism from both the left and right wings of his party, but the King's intervention has pushed tensions to a breaking point. Party strategists are in turmoil, trying to craft a response that can salvage credibility without appearing to undermine the monarchy. Any overt criticism risks alienating moderate voters who respect the crown, yet failure to counter Farage's rising momentum only accelerates Labour's decline. The tightrope Starmer must now walk is perilously thin, with every public appearance and policy statement under intense scrutiny. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage capitalises swiftly on his newfound stature. His speeches have grown bolder, tapping into a groundswell of public frustration with the status quo. His message, centred on putting Britain first, reclaiming sovereignty and protecting national interests, resonates with many who feel left behind by globalisation and political elites. The King's backing, even if indirect, fuels this momentum, encouraging Farage's supporters and intimidating his opponents. Social media buzzes with excitement as Farage's visibility surges and Reform UK's membership swells. Traditional party loyalties are crumbling, and the political map of Britain is redrawing itself before the nation's eyes. Starmer's response to these developments has been increasingly erratic. Once lauded for his calm demeanour and steady hand, he now appears visibly unsettled in public. His attempts to downplay the significance of the King's meeting only underscore his vulnerability. Reports from insiders reveal growing discontent within Labour's ranks, with some MPs openly questioning Starmer's capacity to lead through such a volatile period. The whispers of a leadership challenge grow louder as the party faces electoral contests that could determine its future. This turmoil is exacerbated by media scrutiny that seizes on every stumble and misstep, portraying Starmer as a leader losing his grip at a moment when strength and clarity are desperately needed. The political tension extends beyond Labour. The Conservative Party, currently in government but weakened by scandals and internal divisions, watches the developments warily. Farage's rise presents both a threat and an opportunity. For some Tories, his agenda aligns on key points like Brexit and immigration, making him a potential ally or coalition partner. For others, his populist rhetoric is a destabilising force that could fracture the right-wing vote and empower opposition parties. The uncertainty has injected a new level of unpredictability into Britain's political future, with commentators warning that the traditional two-party system may soon be shattered. Public reaction is mixed, but undeniably intense. Polls indicate that trust in established parties is plummeting, while support for Reform UK and Farage spikes dramatically. Ordinary citizens express frustration and hope in equal measure. Frustration at a political class seen as out of touch, and hope that new leadership can restore control and sovereignty to the country. The King's move has become a focal point for this sentiment, symbolising a break from the old ways and a promise of change. Town halls and online forums buzz with heated debates about the monarchy's role, the future of Britain, and the fate of Starmer's Labour Party. As this unprecedented political drama unfolds, the stakes could not be higher. King Charles's decision to hand power, even symbolically, to Nigel Farage is not just about personalities. It reflects deeper currents of dissatisfaction, change and realignment within British society. For Keir Starmer, it is a defining moment. His reaction, and his ability to respond effectively, will shape not only his own political destiny, but that of the entire country. The next few weeks promise more upheaval and revelations as this story continues to develop, leaving the nation on edge and watching every move closely. The political fallout from King Charles's unexpected empowerment of Nigel Farage has only intensified as the reality of the situation sinks in across Westminster and beyond. What began as a quiet, almost clandestine meeting has evolved into a full-blown crisis for the Labour Party, which finds itself caught off guard and scrambling for a strategy to counter what many now see as a royal endorsement of the populist agenda. The atmosphere in Parliament is thick with tension, and the established order appears increasingly fragile. Keir Starmer's leadership is being tested like never before, as whispers of dissent grow louder and questions about his ability to unify his party become unavoidable. Inside Labour's headquarters, the mood is grim. Senior advisers and MPs are engaged in constant discussions, desperate to find a narrative that can wrest control of the conversation away from Farage and his growing influence. The traditional policy platforms that once defined Labour's appeal now seem outdated against the backdrop of Farage's sharp focus on sovereignty and immigration, issues that resonate deeply with a frustrated electorate. Starmer's team is aware that mere policy adjustments won't suffice. They need a bold, decisive response to regain momentum, yet such a move risks appearing reactionary or desperate. This internal struggle is playing out under intense media scrutiny, with leaks and rumours adding fuel to the fire. The Conservative Party is watching closely, calculating how to respond to this shifting landscape. Although Farage's rise might fracture the right-wing vote, some Tory strategists see an opportunity to realign with Reform UK on key issues, particularly Brexit and immigration control. This potential realignment threatens to redraw political alliances and complicate the government's position. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak finds himself navigating a minefield of competing interests within his party, balancing between appeasing traditional Conservatives and addressing the populist surge that Farage represents. The internal dynamics of the Conservative Party are strained, and the prospect of a coalition or uneasy cooperation with Reform UK looms as a possibility that could reshape British politics. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage has seized the moment with unparalleled confidence. His public appearances have become more frequent and commanding, using the royal meeting as a symbol of legitimacy and power. Farage's rhetoric has hardened, focusing on themes of national pride, anti-elitism, and the rejection of what he frames as a corrupt political establishment. His speeches strike a chord with voters who feel abandoned by mainstream parties and disconnected from the rapid changes in the global political environment. This surge in support is not confined to traditional Reform UK voters. It extends to disillusioned Conservatives and even some Labour supporters, creating a broad coalition united by a desire for radical change. The media landscape has become a battleground for this political drama. News outlets across the spectrum are dissecting the implications of the King's involvement, with opinion pieces and editorials debating the appropriateness and consequences of a monarch stepping into the political arena. Some commentators praise King Charles for acknowledging the frustrations of ordinary Britons, while others warn that this breach of neutrality threatens the very foundations of British democracy. The intense coverage amplifies the pressure on Starmer and his party to respond effectively, as public opinion sways with each headline and analysis. Public protests and demonstrations have begun to reflect the deep divisions within the country. Supporters of Farage and Reform UK have organised rallies celebrating what they see as a long-overdue realignment of power and priorities. These gatherings emphasise sovereignty, border control, and the reclaiming of British identity. Conversely, protests by Labour supporters and other opposition groups express concern over the erosion of democratic norms and the dangers of populism gaining a foothold through royal intervention. These clashes, both physical and ideological, underscore the polarised state of the nation and hint at the social unrest that may follow if the political crisis continues to escalate. In the midst of this turmoil, Keir Starmer's attempts to reassert control have been met with mixed results. His speeches often emphasise unity and stability, yet critics argue that his message lacks the urgency and clarity needed in this moment of crisis. Behind closed doors, there is growing anxiety about the possibility of defections within Labour's ranks, as some MPs contemplate jumping ship or aligning themselves with the rising Reform UK faction. This potential exodus could further weaken Labour's position ahead of crucial upcoming elections, raising the spectre of a fragmented opposition unable to mount an effective challenge to Farage's momentum. International observers are also paying close attention. The British political upheaval has implications far beyond the UK's borders, particularly in the context of Europe's ongoing challenges with nationalism and populism. Allies in the European Union watch warily, as Farage's ascendancy could signal a more confrontational British stance on trade, diplomacy, and cooperation. The King's intervention adds a unique dimension, challenging assumptions about the monarchy's role in modern constitutional democracies. As Britain navigates these turbulent waters, the eyes of the world remain fixed on the unfolding drama, recognising that the outcomes here could influence political trends globally. This section closes with the stark reality that the political map of Britain is being redrawn in real time. The established parties are under unprecedented pressure, the monarchy's neutrality questioned, and public trust in traditional institutions at a historic low. For Keir Starmer, this is not just a political battle, it is a test of survival. His ability to respond decisively and inspire confidence will determine whether Labour can withstand this challenge or whether the UK faces a new political order, dominated by Nigel Farage and the forces he now represents. The nation waits anxiously, aware that the coming weeks and months will shape Britain's future in ways few could have imagined just a short time ago. If you want, I can write a powerful call to action for your video now. Just let me know. Would you like something that urges viewers to comment, share, subscribe, or something else?